In the previous part, we have studied all the important experiments that contribute towards photosynthesis. So, today we are moving forward in this topic. Today we will discuss about light. Do you know, light has two natures? So according to wave theory of light, light is a part of electromagnetic radiation. Radiations are produced by magnetically or electromagnetically charged bodies, known as electromagnetic radiations. So basically, the first nature of light is the particle nature, in which when we see a ray of light, it contains different particles that are known as photons. And the second nature of the light is wave nature. Distance between two successive crests or trough is called wavelength. So, a white light contains all the wavelength of light. The color of an object depends on which color that object absorbs or which color it reflects back. A green leaf absorbs all the color of light except green. That's why it looks green. And as you can see here, different types of wavelengths are arranged in an increasing or decreasing order. So from left, there is radio waves, microwave, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, etc. So there are mainly three properties of light that are important. That is wavelength, frequency, and energy. Mainly we are focusing here on the topic photosynthesis. So in photosynthesis, we talk about visible light. Visible light falls in the range of about 4 into 10 raised to power 14 to 8 into 10 raised to power 14 cycles per second, or basically hertz. Now, coming to the topic, while studying photosynthesis, we only focus on the visible light. So among different wavelength, visible light is present in the range of 400 to 700 nanometer. Now, let's introduce the term PAR, photosynthetically active radiation. It is the amount of light that is available for photosynthesis. For green plants, it is 400 to 700 nanometer, and for blue-green algae, that is 300 to 900 nanometer. Often you must be thinking, why plants look green? So if we look inside of a plant cell from leaf, a chloroplast can be seen easily. Wait, not from native eye, but using some of the equipments, we can do so. So where does this chloroplast comes from? To know this, you must know about endosymbiotic theory. Now, coming to endosymbiotic theory, long ago, there were some prokaryotes having photosynthetic abilities. It means they can make their own food using sunlight energy, and those were photosynthetic bacteria. And some of these bacteria are those which use oxygen to produce ATP. There are some other cells known as eukaryotes, which are larger than these cells. Do you know? Prokaryote means no nucleus, no membrane bound organelles, and eukaryotes means having nucleus and having membrane bound organelles. The endosymbiotic theory is that some of these large cells engulf some of these bacteria, some of which gets digested and some of which remain intact. So they actually begin to live as symbiotes. Conclusion is that the bacteria that produce their own energy using oxygen are mitochondria, and the bacteria that uses sunlight to produce its own food evolved into chloroplast. So from here, we know that plant cells have chloroplast, which is responsible for photosynthesis. Now coming into chloroplast structure, let's discuss some important components which will help us to understand photosynthesis reaction later. It has an outer membrane, an inner membrane, and an intermembrane space in between these two membranes. Inner membrane encloses a ground-rich substance called stroma. Fluid of stroma contains enzymes, plastid, DNA, RNA, ribosomes, etc. Within stroma, there are another membranous structure called thylakoids. The flattened discs are called thylakoids, which are arranged in a stalk called grena. Different grena are arranged together with intergrenal lamella. Membrane of thylakoid are known as Fred membranes. They also contain a large number of granular structure embedded in the membrane. These granules are called quantosomes. Quantosomes are responsible for capturing photons of solar electromagnetic radiations and act as a photosynthetic units. Larger units are called photosystem second and smaller granules are known as photosystem first. And ATP synthase are evenly distributed all around. Intergrenal lamellae lacks photosystem second but contains photosystem first. Thylakoid contains photosynthetic pigments, green pigments, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Yellow to red pigments are carotenoids. As we discussed, stroma contains different enzymes. One of that important enzyme present in stroma is Rubisco. Rubisco belongs to lyase family. It has an activity known as carboxy dismutase activity. Its substrate is ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate. So here, carboxy means it adds a carboxy group on ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, and dis means it cleaves out this carboxy group from 5th carbon, and then mutase means it mutates this structure by adding this carboxy group at 3rd carbon. Now, another important point about Rubisco enzyme is it can perform dual role. First one is the carboxylation and second is the oxygenation. Rubisco has only one active site, so carboxylation or oxygenation reactions performed within the same active site of Rubisco. So you must be thinking, what are the conditions for these two activities to be performed? So, if concentration of carbon dioxide is equal or greater than 0.04% in the atmosphere, Rubisco use carbon dioxide to add it to the substrate. But if oxygen is equal or more than 21% of the atmosphere, it will start using oxygen molecule to add to its substrate. Coming to structure of Rubisco, it consists of 16 subunits, in which 8 are large, which are synthesized from chloroplast DNA and having catalytic role, while other 8 are small subunits which are synthesized from nuclear DNA and having a regulatory role. An important point here, Rubisco is the most abundant protein of this planet. Now the last component which needs our attention before directly jumping to photosynthesis reaction is the grenum. Here are some important points which are related to grenum. When two membranes of thylakoids are attached together with each other, they are called aperese membrane. If membrane of thylakoid not attached with other membrane, known as non-aperese membrane. An aperese membrane has photosystem first and photosystem second both, cytochrome B6F complex, while non-aperese membrane has only photosystem first, ATP synthase and cytochrome B6F complex. Now we have discussed all the important components which are essential to be highlighted because they play important role in photosynthesis and are asked in exam points of view. So in the next part, we will discuss non-photochemical quenching during summer, how plant reduce light intensity, what is light reaction and dark reaction, etc. So thank you for watching. That's it for today's video. Go and watch next part.